heart of a king, soul of a slave. Got me swearing to God on my granny grave. What type of bird don't fly? She said a cage one. What type of lawyer gon' fight? I said a paid one. I've been raised with the G's and a local dope boy. Went from Bellevue to Hope, feeling prison as Hope boy. Before French, my Uncle Mick was a coke boy. He told me get money, don't be a broke boy. Things ain't the same since Freaky Stroke. Man, this is the realest I ever wrote. People asking why me and you haven't spoke. This dude say just got me doing the most.
I'm DUI right now. I'm DUI right now. I'm DUI right now. I'm DUI.
Stacking the strap will still get you clapped, man.
Yeah.
Code TV Media, we here today with the living legend. I'm gonna let him introduce himself, man, because I'm just honored to have this man on this camera right now.
What up, man? Kojo Snowden, formerly known as Kojo Hot Flow, aka Mr. Annapolis. I'm here. Yeah.
Now just let everybody know a little bit about who Kojo is.
Artist from Annapolis, Maryland. Super passionate about the creation, the creative side of music. Passionate performer. And I guess I was, even before those things, man, son, and father.
Sure enough.
Yeah.
So take me to Kojo growing up down Robinwood.
Down Robinwood, it's like up street, down street is what we consider 1300 and 1400 block. I moved to Robinwood when I was 3, and originally lived up street. Then we moved down street to the 1400 block. Growing up down Robinwood, kind of like any public housing neighborhood in any inner city, drugs, killing. Actually witnessed my first murder when I was 10. One of my brother's best friends, which ultimately had a major effect on me, because that happened so many years ago, but yet it landed itself in my music all the time. And immediately following that, one of my cousins was killed by a police officer in that neighborhood. So man, a lot of tragedy, a lot of trauma, a lot of trials and tribulations, but it also helped make me who I am, and inspire a lot of the stories in the music.
Code TV exclusive.
Keep it raw, legend.
In the heart of a ghetto boy. This for all the street dudes worldwide. If you ask him to live, he probably say why. Let's go. In the heart of a ghetto boy. Nightmare on Elm Street, but Freddy wasn't present. I'm from Tyler Avenue, where it wasn't nothing pleasant. Wicked Section 8 put water on those frosted flakes. See my mama pray to God, but she never saw his face. That type of faith made me knew I was beyond this place. How all these pictures of Jesus got this Caucasian face. Blue eyes and blonde hair, man, something feel wrong here. You ain't been where I've been, or you don't belong. Imagine this, you a kid that cops violating your rights, harassing you outside just for riding your bike. The cops shoot the kid, now that's the end of his life. Close your eyes and imagine, what if that kid was white?
Robinwood is in Annapolis, Maryland.
That's
you
right.
See what I'm saying? Sure enough, now most people don't know you had a brother.
Yeah.
Can you give us the story behind bro?
Well, I actually got two brothers.
Okay, excuse me.
Two biological brothers. I have my mother's son. Ironically, they both were born the same year, the same month, exactly a week apart. One was born March 17th, the other one was born March 24th. But in the same year, one's my dad's son, and the other one is my mom's son. Both who played instrumental roles in my upbringing. My mom's son put me on to like the Locks, Tupac, DMX. He literally didn't allow me, prior to Pac passing, he ain't allowed me to listen to anything in the house if it wasn't Tupac. Like that's it. Brenda Got a Baby still my favorite song ever.
Mm-hmm.
And my other brother, my dad's son, he was more of an artist, and was well rounded. Where
Yeah.
he put me on the Most Def, did Prayers, a lot of conscious rappers,
Yeah. Sure.
and uh, to this day, most of my music CD covers are created by him. He an artist.
Mm-hmm. So now, one thing I always thought unique, what was unique about you, bro, was your name.
Yeah,
Now, what was your name originally, though? Because
yeah,
you see what I'm saying? People don't
yeah,
know this type of stuff. You feel
yeah.
what I'm saying?
Originally, my name was Kilo.
Mm-hmm.
Um, in the mid '80s when I was born, um, my mom's named me Kilo. Uh, Her reason was always back even before I was born. My grandma used to babysit these two twins named Kilo and Khalil, and she said she liked the name so much that she decided to name me Kilo.
Yeah.
But anybody who know about like the streets and everything in like the mid '80s,
Sure enough.
Kilo was another word for a large quantity of drugs. So
Mm-hmm.
my pops at the time was like heavy into the political side and all of that. So um, it was bad enough that like him and my mom's wasn't married. So in the newspapers in my city, they put stuff like, you know, Carl Snowden's illegitimate child.
Mm-hmm.
Just because he was a black man who fought for the equal rights of our people. It's like anything they could do to slander him. So it was bad enough that they looked at it like, oh, he has an illegitimate son. And I mean, I know multiple people who parents aren't married, but just because of the position he held,
Yeah.
they highlighted it. And he actually told my mom, like, well, he got my name changed, first of all, without her knowing. He didn't ask her permission. To this day, she always say he forged her signature and changed my name to Kojo without her permission. And she just received a letter in the mail like, your child's name been changed to Kojo. So
Yeah.
shout out to both my parents, man. But yeah. Originally my name was Kilo.
Yeah. So now, the Robinwood environment,
Mhm.
as you growing up, what's some experiences you can remember?
Man, first thing come to mind is like I said, of course, what I spoke about earlier about like the murders that I witnessed. Miss Betty Ann, she used to be the woman who ran the recreation center down there.
Mm-hmm.
Stern woman,
Mm-hmm.
cuss you out, tell you about yourself, but it was one of those things that you know it was done with love. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
it was never for no reason at all. Like, you know, young kids in the hood current at a certain type of way, thinking we could get away with everything because their parents wasn't around and like, she checking us. So that's one of the things I remember growing up in Robinwood. That was one of those experiences, just having like older people in the area, in the neighborhood who actually cared about the kids. And, you know, you wasn't just gonna run over them and do whatever you want. They told you about yourself.
Now, you spoke about your pops earlier.
Right.
Let everybody know who Pops is, man.
Man, my pop's name is Carl Snowden. He's um Annapolis city activist.
Mm-hmm.
He's been featured in a bunch of publications from New York Times to Chicago Tribune.
Mm.
He's interviewed everybody from Rosa Parks to Dick Gregory. He worked alongside of Oprah. I always laugh when I hear the Jay-Z album when Jay said had Oprah out in projects, chilling on the step, drinking quarter waters. I gotta be the best. And it's so crazy because like my pops actually brought Oprah to the hood as well. Had her in Pioneer City, Freetown,
Mm-hmm.
and Annapolis Woods, which are all like neighborhoods in Anne Arundel County. So yeah, that's my pops, man. Just like I say, true definition of a living legend.
Yeah, sure enough. Now, so with your father's background, what was it like trying to walk in his shoes, so to say, growing up?
um, Truthfully, man, growing up, me and my pops didn't have the closest relationship,
Mm-hmm.
so I resented like him a lot growing up. A lot of my friends who played sports with me, like they pops would show up at the basketball games, football games, and like my dad just never was one of those people who was showing up at my games. Him and my mom wasn't together, so it wasn't like he was in the house. So I'm gonna say around like 10, 12 years old is when I developed like this thing like, yo, how come such and such fall at the games, or teaching them how to ride a bike, fight, just different things. And like my father ain't around like that. So growing up, I actually tried to shy away from like that energy. Like people would see me and be like, "You look like a Snowden," stuff like that. I'm like, oh, okay, like
Can't
that was
shake it.
one thing. Yeah, that was one thing I tried to like. I tried to like shy away from growing up, just the shadow, because he got a lot of credit um, for all the work he did in the community. Growing up now, looking back, I realized like, man, like it wasn't like he was just like some dude out in the street getting drunk, getting high, doing disruptive things or whatever. I mean, I'm sure he got, not a perfect person, but like me looking back now and seeing all of the things he was doing, fighting for our people, it was like, dang, like my pops was really up, doing more than just like not being there or being an absent father. So I guess in simple form, I shied away from anything him when I was growing up.
Yeah. Now, as you going outside playing with your friends, what type of activities are you into at this time?
Basketball was one of the main things. Throw up tag, throw up tackle, football, but basketball was the main thing.
Who put the basketball in your hand?
I would have to say it's a mixture. I'll say my brother Reese and my cousin JJ were the two people who I feel like put the ball in my hand, like, oh, this is what it was. So those are my two earliest teachers.
So who was your favorite team?
Growing up, the Bulls.
Yeah,
The Bulls was my
everybody
favorite
loved
team
Jordan,
growing up.
man. Yeah,
The crazy
loved
part
Jordan.
was like BJ Armstrong was my favorite player though. Like I know who Mike was, and ain't no getting around that. But yeah, BJ Armstrong was my favorite player. But yeah, the Bulls was definitely my favorite team growing up.
Now, so how was you kind of introduced to music?
Same people. The thing is, like, a lot of people now are like inspired or blown away by like the newer artists, the little babies. And even when we were younger growing up, it was, Master P's, Jay-Z's, Biggie's and all that. But a lot of the dudes in my neighborhood and in my city did music. And like, shout out to Papoose, Rocco, Rap Ron, Burvon, Benny, all these dudes are dudes, Smalls, rest in peace. All these dudes are dudes from my city, Rolo, who was doing music, who really inspired me. Like I knew their music the same way people sing like the songs on the radio. Like I was adamant about getting copies of their tapes, and I would learn them in words frontwards and backwards. So yeah, those was my biggest inspirations growing up with the music thing.
Man, I remember you in the classrooms, in the lunchrooms.
Yeah.
Banging on the desk.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Rapping and all that type of stuff now. Did you realize you was really talented at this point? Or it was just something that you was naturally, just doing. Like you ain't even really know what you was doing, but
yeah, I think early I didn't take it as like a big deal, because so many people were doing it. But what I did recognize early was there wasn't a lot of people my age doing it. Like when I was coming up and I started rapping and I'm going to the studio at like 12, like there wasn't nobody my age who I knew in my city who had like themselves on tape. And I don't mean like you recorded yourself at your crib, like actually going to the studio. And even for in the house tapes, like I don't remember nobody my age at, doing it. It was like guys older than me who I rapped with, like all the older dudes. Like when I'm 11, 12, I'm on songs with like the 17, 18, 19-year-olds, like, cause they like, yo, Lil Kojo be rapping. So I didn't look at it as like me being like super talented or anything. I just like, yo, I'm on something that like my friends just ain't. Like everybody else more worried about, you know, just sports playing.
Gave all to the game, but what he gave to me, bunch of scars when you the star on the winning team. Ain't got no time to describe all these things that I seen. Close your eyes as I rhyme and I paint you the scene. Had my eyes on this girl who I thought was a queen. Cold world, old girl really sold me a dream. But never mind that, plus I can't get that time back. Living in this white man's world, I'm still gon' buy black. You know I reside at, place where they do crime at. And we don't care about no IMAX in the projects. We was selling narcotics and other objects. Anything to make a profit and get it poppin'. But what they cost me in the long run, a bunch of pain that I used to get these songs done. Khaled, Rick Ross, Wayne said they was on one. About to put this bottle open, pour me a strong one. I'm so faded, got brothers that ain't blood related. Some fake dudes, but real rappers got their numbers inflated. I hope you know how corny you look. Decoded like the son of Glorious book. You're a notorious big, and well, you a notorious crook. Cool breeze we used to watch for your hooks. Without the dungeon family, feel like afterward in awards. How Nas won the Grammy. Putting on for Brandy, cutting teak and cutting brandy. Nobody from my city had this much of promise since James, man, Cool Butler. I'm being honest. The music, timeless. The movement, positive. My love for the game, I won't move without it.
Swear I was just thinking the same.
Worried about, you know, just sports playing games or whatever. And I'm like, I'm writing rhymes.
Now, for the most part, at this moment, everybody knows you as Kojo the rapper.
Yeah.
How did you start to really tap in with other rappers though, for real?
Just when, I don't know, you know, you heard the saying, your reputation precedes you.
Mhm.
It's like, by the time I made it to middle school, it was like already a thing. Like, the teachers, different people were asking me to, like, oh, can you come up with a song for this math class or for this assembly and all that stuff? So I used to just do it, like, all right, cool. Which by the time I made it into high school, as a freshman, I remember salute to one of the, in my opinion, dopest artists to come out of Annapolis, P. Gutter, Pitts. He had came up to me in high school, like, yo, you told your little brother that rap, right? And I'm like, yeah, I heard about you. And from there, it was like, that was like an honor, because like I said, he was one of the dopest dudes doing it, and he was older than me, but he was like, I had heard of you. So that was like my stamp, my validation at that point.
Yeah. So who are you looking at as competition at this time though?
What, when I was at that point?
Yeah, at that point right there.
At that age, I necessarily didn't have or look at anybody as competition, because I was embraced by like all the older dudes.
Yeah.
And I just looked at it like, oh, the way they embracing me, I'm trying to do that. So when I'm getting taken to the studio by like the Rock Lives and Boosies and Rapping Rons, when they taking me to the studio at this early age, I'm like, man, that's what's up. And it felt so good and like, oh, that's tight. And then ultimately like the Pitts and Rapping Ron and Cub, I'm going to the studio with them and I'm younger. So I'm like, oh man, that's tight. So, you know, they say like what somebody gives you, you gotta, you know, pay it forward. So once I started developing a reputation, I'm knowing people with studios and everything, I started doing the same thing. So at that time, I didn't look at anybody as competition. It was just like, these older guys showed me love. Yeah. And so I'm looking to show love to people my age and younger at that time.
Yeah. So now as you going in the studios, is everybody writing their rhymes at this time, or?
Yeah. At this time, it was a few dudes who would jump in the studio and just like straight freestyle, just to have fun with it or whatever. But yeah, at this time, everybody, I just remember writing their own rhymes. And even if it's like, you know, 13, 14 years old, it ain't, you know, we only saying but so much at that time. You know what I mean? So it was cool. Everybody's writing their own rhymes at that time.
So now, at this point, you have Keep It Raw. You got 410 Hustlers.
Yeah.
Now, what was that tension like in the streets, as far as in that point, as far as in the music scene at that point?
Well, it was one of those things where like Keep It Raw was like younger. We were like the younger guys because I was affiliated. I was a part of that.
Yeah.
And we were younger than like Willie Black and Cub. You know what I'm saying? So they were like the 410 Hustlers. They the older guys. So it was kind of like we never looked at it like, oh, we on a level or nothing. It was like it was
Y'all
almost like
was y'all was. I'm sorry to cut you off, bro. Y'all was both two powerhouses.
yeah, but
At
we
the
was like
same time. You feel what I'm saying?
but we was like the powerhouses for the middle and early high school. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
they actually had 410 hotties and giving out t-shirts and stuff like that. They were actually going to, clubs and performing like,
Yeah.
we were still just at talent shows in the
Okay.
school. So
So they was really in motion, like
yeah,
sure enough.
we always looked at them as like the big homies, you know what I'm saying? Like they
Okay.
were older and dope, and we was just like the kids coming up at that time.
That was motivation for y'all too at the
Yeah, for
same
sure.
time. Yeah, yeah. No, so it got to a point. I'm glad you brung Pitts up. Because listen, bro, it got to a point now. Cub and Pitts battle.
Yeah, yeah.
So kind of give me the backstory and the history behind that.
So I don't know it fully, right? What I do know is because I was connected to both of them early, and they had just something that a lot of people don't know. They were actually in a group. Like they had a project together. It was called Live from Merlin, USA. They called it Live from Medusa, and they did a couple records together. Willie Black, Cub, and Pitts. And to this day, I still got those songs.
Long live Willie Black.
Yeah, I used to play. I would play the songs and record it. In recent years, I've uploaded it onto like Instagram and tag Cub in it or tag Pitts in it. And they always like, yo, how do you still got all of this music? Like I got stuff from way back then. But from as far as I know of, because like I said, once again, those dudes older than me. I think it was just the idea of like the competition in the city where
I'm better than you.
Yeah, it was split.
Yeah,
like Cub having like the Woods, Eastport ties or whatever.
right.
Pitts with like the Gardens, whatever.
Enough.
So just the natural competition of like, oh, I'm better than you. I'm better than you. Now, mind you, I think it's just that young egos and things where, and more so entourages for real is what I believe. Once again, I can't say this is for a fact because I never asked either one of them this, but just from the outside looking in, that's what I felt like it was because once again, I clearly have songs with them together, making music together.
Right. So now, who you got winning the battle? You know I can't let you get away.
So I mean that's Cub put on a performance that day that was just like second to none in my opinion. What I also believe is it was like extremely swayed because it's one of those things like the David and Goliath thing. Like though Cub was dope, been dope, and still is dope to this day, Pitts had a reputation outside of the city already.
Yeah.
He already had a buzz. He's linked up with like DJ Rod, Mad Flavor. He was showing a lot of love and just doing a lot of stuff where Cub was more like the neighborhood hero. Like, yo, he more street, he this, he that is how, the city viewed it or whatever.
Right.
So I think it was one of those things where like and Pitts has said this, so I don't feel no way. Like Pitts didn't prepare lyrics for Cub. Pitts spit lyrics that he had. Yeah. Cub actually prepared custom lyrics for him. So I think that was the difference. You in the street, people want to hear the disses. They want to hear the gut punches.
Yeah.
So yeah, I gotta say, for that battle though, Cub definitely won that battle. Following that, it's crazy, man. A couple of my bros was just having this conversation. Following that battle, I put out a project called March Madness, Part 1. And both of them are on the project. And it was like, wow, like you could hear it in their verses. And I ain't do nothing crazy, like put them on the same song. But you could hear in their verses that they both were still doing little shots or whatever. So yeah, it was, once again, it was competition. It was rap. Nothing ever got physical between them two. So yeah, man. Yeah. It was battle.
Yeah. Shout out to Cub. Shout out
Yes.
to Pitts,
Yeah,
man.
salute to them both, man. Once
Sure
again,
enough.
both of those dudes are, like I say, to today, they got songs 15, 20 years ago that I know word for word today just because like I'm such a fan of both of them.
Now, what kind of problem did making music create for you in the streets, though?
I wouldn't necessarily say it made a problem for me in the street, uh, because I always like looked at it where I was tied in and linked in with like at the early time with like so many people that like I always show love. Like I wear, when I say Mr. Annapolis, I wear it with pride because I
Yeah.
literally feel like, and I mean this ain't even like a boast or brag. It's fact. Like there's not one artist in the city who can say they've incorporated more people on projects, shows, events, different things than me. Like I really touched kind of every neighborhood, everybody who rap, sing, whatever it is. Like I incorporated them, make beats in my project. So problems in the street through music, I just never had that. Not that I know of anyway.
Yeah. So when would you say you really started to taking rap seriously, though? Like,
Looking back, I used to think I was taking it seriously, but now that I realize everything that go into it, it's just like, you just growing, living, and having experiences. But if I had to pinpoint a time where I think it really clicked, it was probably after I went through like my legal situations and being arrested and having to sit down for a while and reflect. And then when I came back and watching like people who I was doing music with prior to my legal situations happening, watching them prosper and excel and take it to new levels, I'm like, oh man, like this is real. I could really make a living off of this. I could really create like income, and I don't gotta just do it on the street corner. It could really be more than what I'm seeing. So I'm gonna say after my legal issues when I started taking it seriously, and just to run back, the question about did I have any problems in the street? I just remembered, not locally. I had a manager when I was like 16, and he would take me to New York, and I'm battling.
this at 16 years
at
old.
16 years old, I'm going to New York, and I'm battling dudes from this street called Green Avenue in Brooklyn, Bed-Stuy, and on Green Ave, it was this guy named Jax and this dude named Grapevine and this dude named Benji, and I mean they was mean with it, but it did create like tension because it's like, who was this little dude from Maryland coming up here thinking he, showing up? So it's just like the tension there. So yeah, that gave me a little things in the street about going there. But once again, I was with some dudes who was connected, so it never boiled over outside of just.
So now going through those type of situations like that, how did that kind of shape and mold your pen, though? As far as, you know what I mean?
Oh man, it was the motivation and push I needed. It was one thing, like I said, when I was here in Maryland, it wasn't a lot of people my age doing music at that time. I knew a few by the time I'm 16, but it wasn't a lot. So it was crazy because I went from being here in Maryland, like, oh, I'm like that dude, like the young dude that's rapping or whatever. Going there, I had to kind of play my position because it was a whole group of other artists that I was going there with from DC, and I'm just like the young boy with them. And it's just like I go from being like the man on my own space to with them I had to play my position. Like,
So at that point, would you kind of say you was nervous going into that situation, or you was still kind of, you had that chip on your shoulder, like, yeah, I'm ready to show these niggas what time it is, but at the same time, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's all it was. No nervousness. Everything was, yo, do I get a turn?
Yeah.
Do I get to go?
Sure enough.
And salute to Buddha Monk. rest in peace to ODB. He's a ODB cousin. Um, and one of his business partners or whatever. I'll never forget. I'm in New York one time, and he told him this is when ODB was locked up, and he was like, "Yo, I got this kid from Maryland. Yo, you gotta hear him." And he put me on the phone with ODB while ODB was locked up.
This is ODB from Wu-Tang.
Yes, sir. And I spit for him. He going crazy on the phone. He in jail at this time. He like, let me hear something else. I do another verse. He go crazy. He said, when I get home, me and you working together.
Yeah.
So it's just like, yeah, right. You know what I'm saying? It's like, okay. And you know, to his word, man, a couple months went by. My manager at the time, shout out to C, Kelvin, he hit me up and said, yo, ODB coming home and he wants you to open up his show for him. Back then they was doing the VH1 special, but his life.
Now, how old was you at this time? I'm sorry to cut you off.
No doubt, man. At this time, I'm like 16, 17 years old at this time.
You did say you were 16.
Yeah. So when that happened,
that's crazy to me. I'm sorry. That's just crazy to me.
Yeah.
Bro. You know what I mean?
And I remember shout out to Cell Spitfire. He was rhyming at that time. I took him with me to New York.
Yeah.
And he'll tell you like he got his first tattoo there at that time when we went up there. And he was there with me when I opened up for ODB when ODB came home from jail. This is right before he signed to Rockefeller.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Now, so you doing shows at this time? You popping? You know what I mean? You collabing with people? You dropping mixtapes? All at the same time.
Yeah. This time I'm probably about 2 or 3 tapes in, and when I'm like 17. Yeah, I'm like 2 or 3 tapes in.
Where do you think that grind and that hustle come from, though, bro? At this point, you know what I mean?
2 things. My mama, like, she went to like, I watched her work nursing home.
Yeah.
I watched her work Value City, the jewelry department. Like, she was a grinder. She just went for it, and I think indirectly just picking up the pieces from my pops, like you born with the genetics of both parents, so like his activism of just going for what he wanted, I think it just like landed in me, and I applied it with music.
So how do you think you stay relevant through all these eras of hip hop?
The reinvention of yourself, man. I've been in that space. I remember being like, one of the hottest people in the city, where people like, oh, yo, I would do an event or be a part of an event, and it's easily 200, 300 people coming out. And then you realize that, as you get older, you progress and start doing things like your demographic, like the people who once was, coming to your shows, you performing 2 and 3 times a week. I'm at like Club Taste and Nights Epiphanians and all of that stuff. Those people start getting older, and then they start having children. And it's like, man, I'm not just going out to no rap show just to be going, you know what I mean? So I had to find like a new niche of like, and a new fan base. So stayed relevant just by reinventing myself and finding other ways and other people to collab with, connect with, and definitely just getting out of the area, because we live in like a small city where there's only but so much you can do. Like me personally, by the time I was 18, I deep down had felt like there was nothing really else locally I could do.
In that
it's
city.
like, man, I've put out the projects, I've been a part of the shows, I've done the community events, I've done the hood events, I've done the recreation parties, I've done American Legion, I've done all of it. It's like, yo, I got to take it somewhere else, man.
Now, so let me spin it on you a little bit, bro. How do you feel about the untimely departure of Trey the Kid?
Man, as far as Trey, super unfortunate, man. When somebody has like a dream, right? Like, and this how I kind of view that. When somebody got a dream and they pursuing and pushing to get to like the next level as far as music go. And once again, me and him came up together. He a little younger than me, but a lot of the same songs, studio sessions, places, we been at a lot of those together. And so to know, like, because I'm a father, so to know him as a father, won't be able to physically be there to see his son grow and all of that, man, that's a hurtful feeling. And you know, I think it super should have been like a wake-up call for like every single, not just rapper, singer, or artist, but just person in the area. Like,
Right.
man, life is extremely precious. You know what I mean? And you know, just out of respect for, you know, we all from the same place, so we've all heard the stories, and whether it's rumors, alleged, the truth, you know what I mean? I wouldn't want to dive too far into like the logistics of it, but like just his passing was, like I say, super sad, man. And like I say, sending prayers to like his family, his siblings, and his son.
Yeah. So could you give us a story of a memory of Trader Kid?
Man,
one of your heart to
yeah,
hearts.
I got
I know it's too many to count.
One of the ones that stand out. Shout out my little homie Mo. He from down Robinwood. He came to me when I'm like in the 8th grade at the time. So they like 2 years younger than me. He came to me and was like, "Hey, yo, big bro, my man rapping, he nice." I'm like, "Ooh," he's like, "Him." And it was Trey. And I'm like, "Oh yeah, he nice." So I'm like, "Oh, all right, cool," you know. Kind of kept it moving. Later that day, there was a practice at Bates Middle School, like a basketball trial for the Jaguars. And I'm there. And after the trials, Trey walked up to me and was just like, "Can you listen to my tape?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, "All right." You know, and it's crazy. Like I said, I'm in 8th grade. Like, I'm not like I could sign you or nothing like that, but I just thought it was like, okay, cool. And I took it home and I put it in, and like I was impressed. Like he had rapped over like every No Limit beat. I mean the whole tape, front and backwards, like no space.
Yeah.
Just so that's one of the stories that I remember, but Trey.
Man, that's crazy that you say that. That's because that's impactful how somebody would look up to that. You feel what I'm saying? How somebody would look up to you, that he felt as though he should give you his tape. You feel what I'm saying? He looked up to you you feel what I'm saying, at that point. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah,
that's crazy.
I was, once again, at the time I didn't know who he was. Like all I know, he's cool with young boy from my neighborhood named Mo, and Mo was just like, "Yo, you gotta check him out."
Yeah. Now, so let me spin it again on you.
Let's go.
What type of imprint did Rap and Ron have as far as in the hip hop scene in Annapolis, bro?
Rap Ron was like the bootleg CD guy. You know what I mean? Like, well, that's what I'm gonna say. He got popular for being the bootleg CD guy. But for me personally, like, because he's the brother of, in my opinion, the top rapper from Annapolis who inspired me the most, my man Rocco. He was his brother, so I heard a lot of their tapes early. Same way with rapping Ron. To this day, I see him all these years later, and like I start rapping his rhymes from like the 90s, and he's like, "Yo, how do you remember all these joints?" And I'm like, "Yo, I was really a fan of everything y'all did." So Rap Ron super solidified like his space. I mean, calling himself Rap and Ron alone was like a thing. Throughout the years, me and him had differences, and that leaked over into the music, but due to like the family ties and the connections, like his folks know me and all of that, it was just like, all right, we gotta agree to disagree. And he looked at me like, "Yo, young, so he kind of ignored, like, I made diss songs and all that, but he kind of like ignored me, like, little boy. But he had put like some other younger dudes from the city in the studio, and they made diss songs about me.
Okay, so
But
y'all
yeah,
was flaming back and forth.
yeah. Well, he, like I said, he never made songs because it's like,
Yeah.
man, I'm not worrying about Lil Kojo. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And we talked about it all these years later. He explained like how he viewed it, how I viewed it. But yeah, he put some of the younger guys from the city in the studio, and they probably was just amped up to get the chance to be in the studio. So they
Yeah.
made like I feel like they had like 100 songs about.
So now, are you familiar with the Woods Jungle Hood series he has going on right now?
Yeah.
Okay, now
I haven't seen it yet, but
it's fire.
yeah, he told me
Fire.
he been telling me about that for years, that he was building that joint. I haven't seen it yet, but I've seen the promo. Yeah.
Yeah, sure enough. So now let us know what you got going on right now, bro.
Right now, man, the Heart of Hip Hop 5 is the newest project I'm working on. It's the 5th installment for the last 5 years. On Valentine's Day, I've been releasing. You just came into I Love Your Studios is where we currently are. My engineer Tony Crav, he's engineered all of these projects for me. Every year, like I say, on Valentine's Day, I release the Heart of Hip Hop. Couple, I guess 6 years ago, I had did an event at Ramsey in Baltimore where I opened up for KRS-One, and like it was one of, like I say, my best shows. So much so he asked me to come on stage. KRS-One, hip hop legend.
Yeah,
he actually bowed down to me on stage. So when I got off stage, everybody,
what was that feeling like, bro?
man,
You said KRS-One,
yeah, for sure,
bowed down to you on
yeah,
stage.
yeah. We got the footage. So yeah, it was surreal, man. But I didn't realize it in the moment. It was just like whatever, because I actually got to talk to him, and I kept it so real with him. Like,
Yeah,
I've never listened to none of your albums. It's like one of those things where like you get to meet somebody, and it's just like, but that's the type thing. You get to tell them something that they probably never heard before, because everybody like super fans. And I was telling them like I want to be a basketball player when I grew up. And my aunt brought my cousin 2 albums, KRS-One and Shaquille O'Neal.
Yeah.
I listened to Shaquille O'Neal. And I said, the only thing I remember from your album is your intro. And on the intro, you said, "We will be here forever. Forever and ever, and ever and ever." And here we were, probably almost 30 years later. He wasn't lying. Like, he's still a touring artist making bread. Like,
yes.
And when I got off that stage, I had posted the footage because it was people who had the footage, and he came on my Instagram and put the crown under my post, like you it. Yeah. And if anybody know how much of a critic, especially when it comes to hip hop, KRS-One is, like, not anybody gets the KRS cosign. So that was big for me. But that led to a lot of potential fans being in the crowd and wanting copies of my music. But at the time, I didn't have anything that represented the performance. Like, I had my music that I had on the CD, but then I also had the music that I was making. Yeah. And the music I was making wasn't like that traditional hip hop. It was more, turn up songs, party songs, me doing go-go infused stuff and all of that. And I'm like, I can't sell these people this. This ain't what they want. They want what they just seen. So right then and there, I vowed to myself, I'm never gonna be caught out of position. So now every year I make a straight hip hop project so I can have for my hip hop fans and that demographic. So yeah, that's what I'm working on right now, man. The Heart of Hip Hop 5. We've completed it today, and getting prepared for the release on February 14th.
So how many years you would say you got in the game?
Man, I started working on rhymes at like 9. And let's just say I'm well over 60 projects, like over. When I'm counting solos, collaborations, and group projects, I'm over 60 projects in.
Yeah. So now I heard you say you had caught a battle out in New York.
Yeah,
Now
I caught a few. I caught quite a few.
you caught a few out in New York.
Yeah.
Now, so how was the battle scene back home in your city though? At the same time,
At that
at
time,
that time,
at that time, we ain't have one.
it wasn't
There
really a
wasn't a
battle.
battle scene. Like at this point, we did like in school rapping at the lunch table, but it wasn't like structured. It wasn't like, it was just like trading verses or whatever. But it wasn't a lot of people that was like actively getting it in. It was just like.
So who are the few names that you do remember? You know what I mean? That was kind of getting it in, that had that was on that battle
In the
type
city?
shit back then. Yeah, in the city.
So at Annapolis, there was like it was a program with a group home kids from Baltimore would be there.
Okay.
And it was this dude Flood from Baltimore. He used to get it in on the battle side. There was also this club, Surfside 7, down in Edgewater, where dude J-Rock, Justin, he from Annapolis, he would get it in. Pitts would get it in there. But at that time, yeah, those are the only names that stand out that was like actively who I would see like really trading.
So now, in your younger years, at the same time, when you say you was out in New York and all that, was you rocking the Columbian Centers and you know what I mean? You remember all that, the A&Rs and all that stuff. Was you rocking them type of shit?
Yeah, man,
Club Mates and all that.
Yeah, I done it all, man. Penguin, Sonar, Bourbon Street. Yeah, like Club Taste, Knights of Columbia, Knights of Pythians, A&R Village. Yeah, all the local and city, South Baltimore stuff. Yeah, I've been a part of all of those. Yeah.
So now, your first time going out to perform, bro. How was that feeling? What was that feeling like?
And I got pictures from my first show. I'm 10 performing at American Legion for like an Easter disco. And there was no nervousness in it. You know, it was just like, oh, I rap all the time. I'm ready to do it in front of these people. You know, when you're young, you ain't necessarily got the thought process of like, it's kind of like you got nerves of steel.
Yeah.
The older I got, and when I embarked on like this new journey that I was on, where I'm like, yo, I'm gonna do 100 shows a year. I started traveling like the last few years. Every time I get on stage, I'm nervous. It's like that thing. But once you get up there, you're up there, and it's just go time.
Man, Brody, I just appreciate you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, for sure.
Hopping
man.
on this Code TV media, bro.
Yeah, man. Like I said, we chopped it up late last year, and I told you like, man, I wasn't on it. I'm like not in like go mode. I'm in my whole J. Cole recording with the scruff and no haircut or nothing, just like grinding it out, man. Just getting prepared for 2023 and everything I plan, all the offerings I plan on giving through the music, through shows, through merch. And super happy that I could start the year off with hopping on Code TV and us having a conversation, man.
Man, y'all stay tuned in on Code TV. We got a lot of things coming up for y'all. I'm gonna let one cat out the bag right now for y'all. We got that fruit interview coming real soon. Sure enough, stay tuned in, stay tapped in, Code TV Media.
Yeah.